Alright, so game number 4 in this 5-game show match between Team BacT, Viper and Hera versus Yo, Liereyy and MbL. Here, Liereyy and MbL will play against Viper and Hera on Golden Pit. Let's go into Capture Rage. I restarted it, so we should have, oops, no trouble with that. And let's fix things. Right now, the score is 3-0 in the favor of MbL's team, which is MbL, Liereyy, and Yo. And we are gonna have Hera and Viper on the right side of the map in blue and yellow. Hera is playing Tatars in blue, and we're gonna have Viper as Saracens in yellow. Other side, Berbers for MbL in red and Tatars for Liereyy in green. So apparently, Tatars, after the buff that they received, they are considered one of the strongest civilizations out there. The tricky thing with Tatars is that you have to make a transition to Cav Archers from Archers over here, because that's probably the unit you're going for. When you have a Berbers teammate for MbL, MbL is most likely going to play with cheap Berber Knights. Other side, however, Hera is Tatars in blue, and Viper is Saracens, which makes me believe that Viper is going to be the Archer player in yellow. And we are going to have Hera playing with Scouts and Knights, maybe even Step Lancers. That's going to be an interesting one to take a look at. Tatars also have their camels, but I don't think they are really a match against Berbers. Now, one thing to point out, this is the World Cup 2020 version of Golden Pit, which means that it is much harder to wall than standard Golden Pits, if you take a look at this. So the wood lines are smaller, there is more of them, but they're smaller and they're a lot further away from your town center. So walling your base is a lot harder than it is for standard Golden Pit, which usually just goes into Castle Age, because most players can wall themselves pretty easily. Like if you take a look at MbL's base, he's wide open from the right side, unless he walls like this, but that's a lot of work. So MbL, 3 on wood over here, he's gonna be the cavalry player, and 4 on wood for Liereyy as the archers player. Same thing over here, Hera is gonna be using the Tatars for scouts, and Viper is gonna be the archer player with Saracens. He's got 2 of his stones super close to each other, that's an interesting one to take a look at. And he will be fine luring in that boar. I wonder where he's gonna wall, like, he will have to protect this gold mine, I believe, although this one is actually relatively safe, so you could actually play with that one. Anyways, on 2v2 versions of Golden Pit, there is always stone in the middle as well. It's not really an important factor though. In fact, it mostly changes nothing, because you have quite a lot of starting stone to play with anyways. Alright, MbL, he's gonna be walling himself quite hard apparently. But where to? Is he gonna just wall like this and this? Also, he's just luring in his first boar, which is a little bit surprising to take a look at. I guess he was pushing in his deer, and that's why he's just luring in the first boar. So, first push in all the deer and then go for the boar. Because if you take a look at this, he still has 4 sheep available, so he didn't consume a huge amount of sheep here. And if you look at Viper, Viper also has 4 sheep. So, at the end of the day, MbL just pushed in the deer, but this is just going to result in a better food eco, to be honest. And the Viper, he is going to run into the TC fire of MbL, loses quite a lot of HP on his scout. Let's see if he's going to lay him the herdables. He will not, but Viper takes quite a significant beating on that scout. MbL isn't really bothering to trap that guy or anything. Hey Imperial Camo, what's up? Viper just chilling right now. Loom already coming in for Hera, and he apparently is able to lame away 2 sheep from Liereyy over here. Liereyy didn't scout them or what? I think Liereyy scouted them, it's just a matter of not going out for them, because he was like, okay, I can go out for them later. There's a barracks for Liereyy over here, as he is gonna be the archer player, so looking at this villager count right now, which is 20. This looks like a man-at-arms build for me. Hera already on his way to Feudal Age. He's gonna be the scouts player for his respective team. And let's see, MbL fully walled by now. Viper is actually drushing, and drushing in a manner that could be drush archers or it could be drush FC with a tiny bit of market abuse. I can see this one being a Drush FC from Viper for crossbows by selling the stone he has. That would actually be a pretty legitimate play from him. Anyways, the only player who is fully evolved is MbL. No surprise about that. And since MbL... How is he getting the hits on Viper's scout? I have no idea, because the two scouts have the same speed. Viper decides to turn back and take the fight because he sees the walls and eventually loses his scout. Viper's Drush is converging on Liereyy though. Liereyy voling himself, but he's not done by far. In fact, he didn't even have Loom, and he is still not clicking up. So this feels like a delayed Drush to me. 24 Villagers, still not clicking up. It's either a late Drush into Archers or a late Drush into FC. Now, there is going to be a stable being built by Hera. Liereyy is not focusing that one, instead tries to take an isolated villager and get a kill. Interesting that he didn't try to delay the stable, which could have been a little bit more helpful, I believe. He's gonna take the fight against the villagers. Might actually kill one villager here. That's actually a nice one. And now he just needs to make sure he doesn't lose his scout, which is still a Dark Age scout, so it's not really doing an awful lot of damage. And it appears that he is gonna have to withdraw from that engagement. He had to wall his villagers in here, so maybe that was the reason why he microed this a little bit poorly, because he lost his scout. In fact, this was an awful fight for Liereyy at the end of the day. He killed one villager but lost his Drush, so... And more importantly, he lost his scout, and that's gonna matter in terms of getting information. But I guess he was busy walling his base in, and it seems like it's a 27 villagers click up. Now, I'm not 100% convinced he's gonna be able to go for straight FC, although with Tatars you might be able to, because you're gonna have the extra sheep. Beautiful quick walls from Liereyy. Absolutely slaughters Viper's Drush here. Not sure what Viper was up to, but apparently didn't notice the quick walls and he just started walking in. Lost all those militias. Scouts are coming in here from Hera. Once again, TC is going to scare them away. Viper is fully evolved and he is going for a Drush FC. It is a 29 villagers FC, so he might not even need to sell his stone to click up. Although looking at the resources, he might need to buy some food. So we'll see how that shapes out for him. But with Saracen Market, it shouldn't really be a big deal. And Saracen crossbows could be pretty devastating early on. Now the question is, what is MbL up to? Because MbL is apparently just going feudal and booming his way up to Castle Age. That's what he's doing. So that's something that MbL loves to do. Just go for a fast feudal, not make army, and he's gonna have the tech upgrades for his lumberjacks. You're going to see the lumberjacks having double bit axe. I can't show it because Capture doesn't support technologies panel for team games, but eventually you should be able to understand this concept. That's something that MbL loves to use. Hera snipes in the chat. We got one picked off by Hera over there. Nice micro from him. And Liereyy, he is not close enough to click up, I believe, with +2 villagers unless he idles that TC quite considerably. But here is the extra sheep that he gets with Tatars, and that's gonna give him a massive boost to his eco because he doesn't have to add a lot more farms. So, as you see, he's gonna add one more villager and then probably try to click up. He is dropping archer, and this might be a straight cavalry archer play if he's going for this. Other side, Viper getting the Saracen Market up, and up he is gonna go to Castle Age. Second range is coming in and he's gonna go crossbows. MbL is about to click up as well. So the last player to click up will most likely be Hera, who is the player who invested the most into Feudal Age aggression, going for the scouts. In fact, he's the only player who actually went for Feudal Age aggression. Rest of the players either went for a Drush or nothing at all, like MbL. So, some idle time on Lierey's TC over here. He just needs a little bit more food so he can click up. And then it is probably gonna be straight Cav Archer, because if he wanted to go for crossbows, he would be making archers by now. And the only reason not to make archers right now is if you go straight Cav Archers, which is great because you get free tumbling, but you are gonna need a stable to make them really efficient because you will need bloodlines and, more importantly, husbandry. MbL is gonna be double stable knights for now. He might actually go triple stable, but I think that at this point it might be just better to just play the two stable game and play for the economy, because you want to play free stable knights against civs that have paladin, for example, if the game would go very long, because Berbers don't have that. But here it's completely fine, because it's not like Tatars are gonna have a great cavalry compared to Berbers. In fact, Tatars are gonna have a pretty bad cavalry compared to Berbers. The question is, can Viper do any damage? Probably unlikely, because MbL is very close to clicking up to reaching Castle Age. He's gonna have the knights out very soon, and a few knights can clean up this low amount of archers. Anyways, Liereyy is almost up as well. Crossbow on the way for Viper alongside Botkin. He is sending more and more archers to the base of MbL, but MbL is up as well. And let's see if Viper changes direction here. He should. He certainly should. Because if he doesn't, he's gonna get his crossbows picked off by knights. MbL will probably just stack his knights inside the stables once he sees the crossbows. Indeed. And he's just gonna wait until he has a reasonable amount of knights garrisoned, and then he's gonna try to take that fight. Viper will probably have to leave this. He cannot take this one right now. In fact, MbL is counterattacking, interestingly. Viper should be fully walled. Look at this little labor camp here. He has the TC outside, and then is like a massive labor camp of villagers on wood and gold. It's fun to look at. Anyways, Hera is going for a second town center. That second stable feels a little bit too late to me. Like, he should already be having 2 stables when he reaches castle, and it appears that Liereyy is also gonna start focusing on a Viper here. The Cav Archers are coming in. I actually like the position of MbL and Liereyy here a lot better. The Tatar Cav Archers are a top-notch unit. You probably like to play with the cavalry of Berbers as well, whereas on the other side, you're gonna have the Saracen crossbows, but their bonus only applies against buildings, and right now we're not fighting buildings, so it doesn't really matter. And Tatars, camels, I'm not impressed either. Berbers just have cheaper camels, so they can outmatch them relatively easily. None of the teams actually is trying to contest the middle, but I think this massively benefits Liereyy, because he can mass the Cav Archers, and one of the trickiest things when you're going for Cav Archers is being able to achieve that critical mass. It takes so much time to get the upgrades, and it takes so much time to get the numbers up, but once you have that, you can pretty much play super aggressively, because you're gonna have a great army to work with. Second TC from Liereyy coming up on his secondary gold mine, so once again, he is not contesting the middle just yet. And it appears MbL is idling his TCs a tiny bit so he can get chain barring in. Once again, a super passive game over here, despite the fact that the map is quite open. Hera right now at 42 villagers. You can see the boom of Tatars are just insane. Surprisingly, Viper is only also at 41 villagers with 1 TC. On the other hand, you have MbL, 1 TC, actually 2 TCs, but 38 villagers only. 39 for Liereyy, who is also playing 1 TC, just finishing with the second one. But at this point, Viper going for ballistics. Once again, he's gonna have ballistics, but what for? He isn't really going to take any fights anytime soon. Still, Viper's military numbers are a lot better, as we do have a pause. So Viper's got 25 crossbows. It's only 12 Cav Archers right now for Liereyy, and they do not have bloodlines yet. They don't have archer armor upgrades. What is Viper up to? Like, they have to be cautious because Viper could exploit the market, and I think he is about to do that. 7 villagers on stone with Saracens is a quite significant indication that he might just go and start buying resources with the market. And if he does that, Viper could try getting up to Imperial here with a Saracen market and get the Arbs out. And if he gets the Arbs out, things turn around super fast. Alright. Cav Archers moving to the right side, still without husbandry or bloodlines. Hera, for now, is just playing with camels with +1 armor only. MbL, 2 TCs, does have quite a lot of file time on that one, and he's gonna go for Sword Stable right now. So they want to be aggressive now, and here come the Cav Archers. It's still a little bit scary fight, but they do have Thumb Ring, so they might not shy away from taking an engagement against those camels. And the problem here with the camos is that the Cav Archers can keep away the camos from the Knights, and the mobility advantage will be on the side of Liereyy and MbL. So Viper's army is slow moving over here, and that is 3 villagers getting, actually just 2 villagers getting picked off, but that's already decent, I would say, for Liereyy and MbL. That's exactly what they want to do, just keep raiding. MbL's villager count is disturbingly low on the other hand. He's only at 41, despite the fact that he's on 2 TCs. Here come the Knights, do some raiding. MbL is gonna go for it. He kills, I think, 2 or 3 villagers. Crossbows from Viper moving in just now. No fight taken right now. But look at this. Cav Archers once again moving in from the left side. Still, you want to be able to get a decent group up. Otherwise, camos will just pick them off individually. And that's a lot of camos to fight against. Once again, I feel like this fight may be a little bit too premature for Liereyy. He doesn't have bloodlines, he doesn't have husbandry. And especially bloodlines in this fight would be super important, but husbandry as well, of course. Just to be able to outrun those camos until they don't get that either. But look at this. More Knights are coming for MbL, and that's the Berber power on this map. You can just overrun your opponents so fast with Knights, and even if these Cav Archers get cleaned up, the key here is that the camo numbers are disturbingly low, to a point where eventually the Knights could just come in and raid. In fact, they could go for Viper's base, they could intercept Viper's Knight, or Viper's crossbows coming in here, and now they could hit Viper, who is also on 2 TCs. Surprisingly, MbL is not doing that, so just based on what I'm seeing as the reaction to this defeat in this fight, I feel like they pretty much threw away an army over there, because they aren't really like applying additional pressure. Okay, now they're coming in, but MbL has kind of missed an opportunity to kill a crossbows in the middle of the field where they were pretty much undefended, and now he's fighting that beneath the town center. Not ideal. The camos will have to move over here, and MbL is gonna have to disengage this fight, otherwise he's gonna lose a lot of Knights. Liereyy is gonna move to the middle, so is MbL. Neither of the other players are moving into the middle just yet. Looking at the villager count, it is dead even though, so both Tatar players having a pretty strong eco. MbL is also catching up. But look at Viper, he's got floating 700 gold and 400 stone as well. Could Viper have gone camos instead of Hera? Yes, but then Hera has to play with Cav Archers, which is doable. It's a tricky Civ combo, because most of the, like, both Tatars and Saracens are more like Archer Civs rather than Cavalry Civs. So it's doable. But it's just a weird Civ combo. I actually like MbL and Lierey's Civs here a little bit better. Still, that's a lot of camos from Hera, and one thing that he gets with those camos is a huge eco, and I believe Viper is up to Imp. Indeed, he is. So here comes the big blob of orbs, and remember that he also has quite a lot of villagers on stone, so one thing that Viper could do, he doesn't even need a cast in the middle immediately, he just needs the orbs, and he can actually take those fights. He's making a monastery. We'll see if he adds 1 or 2 monks, so he can actually get some conversion on Knights. And I think that this is the moment where Viper just needs to wait a tiny bit, position himself so he doesn't lose his army. He might actually take this fight, and that's a good fight for him. Picks off at least 2 Cav Archers. But if he goes into Imperial, he's gonna be able to just melt TCs over here in the middle, drop a castle, and boom. Now, that being said, he might need to fall back and defend, because MbL is coming in here with the Knights, and this is gonna be interesting to look at. Those Saracen crossbows could already melt TCs, and because the camos are there, MbL cannot really participate in that fight just yet. He picks off 2 villagers from Viper, that's nice, and now he's splitting up the cavalry. I like this for MbL. He knows he cannot take direct engagement, so instead, what he's doing is splitting up his cavalry and trying to get some raiding damage in and forcing their opponents to fall back. Viper 1 minute away from Imperial, as once again MbL is gonna have to run away from this. Cav Archers from Liereyy on the way. Remember, Tatar's heal bonus is pretty significant, but MbL is losing a lot of his Knights over here without basically inflicting any damage. And now those camos are hitting down heals as well, which is a huge advantage for Tatars. MbL coming in here with a few Knights, once again getting picked off, and Viper is gonna drop his DC. Viper and Hera seem like they are in a winning position now, because Viper's orbs will be super strong, and remember, there are no slinging rules for this show match, which basically means that Hera, with the strong Tatar eco, he could sling Viper a tiny bit, so Viper gets the resources he needs for the upgrades, Like right now, Viper can't afford Bracer. Hera should sling him the food so he can get Bracer as well. But even without Bracer, this is a great fight. Camos on the field with +1/+2 against the Knights of +1/+2. Lierey's Cav Archers are a little bit mispositioned. They're going to be using the hill here, but I'm not sure if that's going to compensate for having Castle Age Cav Archers against Orbs, as Viper is also moving up hills. They are delaying Viper's push though. Viper turns back and now he's going to go for the TCs over there. Still no Bracer for him though. No chemistry. Lierey's army is getting cleaned up over here as well. This isn't looking great for MbL and Liereyy, because Liereyy eventually is going to lose quite a lot of Cav Archer numbers over here to the Camos. In fact, Hera is trying to trap these units in here. Liereyy is gonna be slaughtered in this one. And if you look at the middle, it's even worse. There is the Orbs coming in. Imagine if Viper also had Bracer. I wonder if he knows he clicked Bracer. Yeah, he's just about to click it. No, he's going Chemistry. So Viper is not going for Bracer. Makes me wonder if he really just forgot about it. Or he wants to get Bombard Cannon. That's also a possibility. Anyways, at this point he's melting the stables, and the Imperial Age Orbs will just melt the cavalry in here, especially if they had Bracer. But they don't even necessarily need that much, because there is going to be camo support from Hera, and indeed Liereyy and MbL tap out. Viper making the Saracens work, and eventually maybe it would have been better for Hera or Liereyy and MbL to push Viper, because Viper, as expected, he got a fast Imperial time with the Saracen market, and he was just able to get the Orbs out, and those would just rush down everything in the middle. This was indeed pretty much GG, because they had no tools to stop those Orbs. Those Knights will probably have to take a rather unfavorable engagement, and even if Viper loses these Orbs, it's much easier for him to replenish the Knights if he loses them in this large numbers than it is for Viper to lose the Orbs. Plus it's 54 Orbs against 28 Knights. Yeah, it was weird that how MbL used the Knights. Indeed, they didn't really commit to any fight. So it was pretty weird. Also, if you want to go for the triple stable play with Berbers, you have to play crossbow with Tatars. Why? Because it takes much more time to get into good Cav Archer numbers with good upgrades. You need Husbandry and Bloodlines as well to be efficient with Cav Archers, and Camos deal extra damage against Cav Archers. If Liereyy went for crossbows here, Saracen or Tatar crossbows are just as fine because they have Thumb Ring, they have every upgrade in Castle Age. Tatar crossbows would melt the Camos, and then they would have had Berber Knights and Tatar crossbows against potentially what? Hera cannot make crossbows himself because then they would have two archer players. So I feel like maybe it's the lack of synergy between the two unit compositions. If you play Cav Archer, you play for late game because you want to get good numbers of Cav Archers, and it takes a lot of time to go for the Cav Archer upgrades. But if you go triple stable Knights for Berbers, you want to overrun them in Castle Age. So I feel like if they go Cav Archers, they need to play for a later, longer game. And if they want to go triple stable Knights with Berbers, it has to be Tatar crossbow. And that would have been pretty devastating because, like, Viper would have had to trade off his crossbow numbers. Hera alone couldn't have defended against the crossbows because he had camos. The only reason why he was able to defend against Liereyy is because Liereyy had Cav Archers, and Cav Archers are dying to the camos. Anyways, 60 kills for Hera, 36 deaths. That's actually pretty cool use of the Tatar camos over there. Hera also 11,000 food. Tatar eco is just being absolutely sick. And Viper's team grabs their first win in this one. Liereyy and Hera, the two Tatar players with the highest eco. The difference here is that MbL went for a lot of Castle Age army with 69 villagers, whereas Viper went for Imp with 67 and Tatar market. And at the end of the day, Viper's Imp just decided the game. And we do have 3-1 over here. Once again, this is a 5-game show match, so we are going to play the 5th game nonetheless.